But somewhere on page 27, it says, as part of our project, we're going to set up a network of vocational institutes, and we're going to make sure there is gender balance in the student population. So if you read that as a human, you know that that's exactly what we're talking about, right? But if you use a computer to read the text, just a plain text, it may not get that. So what we did was we combined AI with knowledge graphs to create a semantic distance between these concepts. A vocational center is a type of school, and schools have to do with education. And schools usually involve buildings. Not all buildings are schools, but schools often have a building. And some of these buildings, they have a ramp in the front. And guess what? That ramp is for people in a wheelchair, disabled people. So all these topics, to connect all these topics and to make better decisions on where to allocate our money. So it's a very concrete example again. Oh, my clicker doesn't work anymore. Maybe I can just press the computer. Okay. Here's another example. Some countries, they start to fight with each other and they have a war, or sometimes they have a civil war, and it lasts for many years. And of course, trade often stops, production stops, agricultural production stops because the fields are destroyed. Sometimes the children, a whole generation of children misses out on school, which is an effect that you are gonna be hit with 10, 15 years later. What is the economic cost of a conflict? Can we measure that? And we did that. We took a lot of data, socio-demographic data of school attendance, trade data, economic data, and then we had a database with conflict day by day of what was the level of conflict in each country. And we made a model of that. And we used AI to analyze that. And we went as far as creating a little mock calculator so that we could say, hey, Cambodia, we know you're annoyed with your neighbor, you want to go to war, totally justified, but do you realize it's going to cost you $6 million a day to your economy, to your society? And those can be good arguments for our peace building and for our efforts at the UN to convince people to resolve things peacefully. So those are the kind of things that we do with AI. But of course, as you guys probably know, there's massive potential for negative outcomes of AI as well. Bias and discrimination. We had a system called Compass that was used in the US for a while, that was supposed to measure or to predict how likely it was for criminals to reoffend. And based on that, they made a decision whether to release them early from prison or not. And it turned out that algorithm had a heavy racial bias. Amazon had an automated system for hiring, which turned out to be biased against women. Privacy. I don't know about you guys, but I get very uncomfortable with what various AI systems know about me, my address, and what car I drive, and these kind of things. Deepfakes and misinformation. I think there's elections coming up in Canada, in the US as well. Lots of concerns about deepfakes. Job displacement. There was a big demonstration last year in the US, in California, of I think it's called the Actors and Screenwriters Guild. And they were protesting against the use of AI in the creation of movies. But I think, you know, it's inevitable that it's going to happen. There's going to be changes there. The loss of human control. I got into one of these automated taxis in Arizona last year, and it's very strange. You call the taxi and it arrives, and you get a code, and you put the code on the door, and it opens. So you get in, the door closes, it's locked, and then you're at the mercy of the car, right? Wherever it's going to take you. It's a kind of strange feeling. Security risks, of course, because hackers have the same access to AI as we have, and they're very creative in using it. You know, and there's all these bad outcomes. So what can you do? How can you guys prepare yourselves to help make sure that AI has more good outcomes and to prevent some of the bad outcomes? Well, I have a few suggestions for you. So the first is read up on responsible tech. There's all kinds of methodologies to make sure that your technology projects are done in a responsible way and to mitigate some of the risks that come with it. Now, the picture that you see on screen, that's a playbook that my team and I launched last year in collaboration with a company called ThoughtWorks. And it's freely available. You can go to our website and download the playbook, and it's a set of methodologies that you can use. It's almost like games where you play a game to assess a particular risk in your technology. Sometimes you get to play the bad guy. You say, okay, you've been working very hard to make sure this AI system does what it's supposed to do when people want to use it. Now imagine that you want to misuse it. Use this in the worst way possible. And put yourself in that situation for 2 hours. It's very enlightening. Or imagine that you're a person who is vision impaired, or has some other disability. And there's many other methodologies. So this is something you can download and learn from. Learn about ethics. If you have the time, start with the Greek philosophers: Socrates, Zeno, Epicurus, Pythagoras, or even the Romans, Marcus Aurelius. But even if you don't have the time to start from the basic foundations, there's lots of very good materials specifically on the ethics of AI. So make an effort to read some of that. And then the last recommendation is foresight. Learn about foresight. And to explain what I mean with that, I want to share a quote from a well-known Canadian philosopher, Wayne Gretzky. He had an interview once, and they asked him, why are you so good? Why do you make more goals than anybody else? And he said, well, I don't skate to where the puck is. I skate to where the puck is going to be. And this interview was a long time ago, before the recent advances in AI. But I think if we put it in today's context, what he's really saying is, if you want to worry about AI ethics, don't look at what AI can do today. Look at what AI will be able to do 2 years from now or 5 years from now. And how do you do that? That's the discipline of foresight. You learn how to make scenarios for the future. Nobody can predict the future exactly, but you can come up with different scenarios that might be possible. And some of them might be no problem, but some of them might be of concern. And you need to have a plan B. You need to prepare for that. And it's a very useful discipline for people working in AI. So that is what I wanted to share with you. And that's my recommendation for you. And I hope your professors are not going to be angry with me for changing your curriculum. But I saw that here on campus you have a philosopher's walk. So I think that's a good place to walk around and think about all these ethical issues. And if you want to contact me, there's a QR code, an email address, and I'm happy to answer any questions.